Grace super. You take 1 hour only to greet chai. Free money sweet. Come on, is greeting not also good, Mr. Name? But great to hear that. Thank you. God bless you. Jeru Toron, I see you. Abdurrahim Nana, I mentioned you. Also, I see Marcelo Zungwa. I see you. Chris, don't you think I should need what? Restructuring? Well, that is not the subject of the matter today. And I don't know what kind of restructuring you mean about restructuring. I don't think restructuring will take us to Boya. Agenda, vision, and money will take us to Boya. Please, what this revolution needs is not some restructuring. You can restructure the house, but if the root leaks, it will not stand. What this revolution needs is money. And one of these days, I shall be doing a very special presentation on the state of our finances. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Ambazonians, what this revolution needs is money. You bring everybody to sit on one table, to unite, to talk, to agree, to collaborate, and they have no dime to pay a lobbyist, and they have no dime to hire a lawyer. We're just wasting our time. We have no time to put the right sticks into the hands of our boys and give them the right peanuts. We are wasting our time. We're just making noise. What we need is not restructuring. What we need is vision, action, and money. All right. Junior and Bazi, we have 2 minutes to go. 2 minutes, I promise you. Humble King, I mentioned you. I also see Taku Clay, who says, missing that. I also see Eva Toyin. I see you, ma'am. Mami Grace. So long live our interim government. Thank you. Diodone Tabia. Good evening, sir, he says. Philip Njoroge. Thank you. Please hit your share button. I also see Zenzinho Emmanuel. Free boy, free boy. Economic sabotage must intensify, he says. Thank you. Mojoko platform, I see you. Rudolph Ebot, I also see you. I also see, he says, Chris, please, we must stick to our ghost town. We are in war. Rudolph, watching from, I missed that last point. Absolutely, Rudolph. Grand Zero has spoken. We hear them. We respect it. And Tabo Theodore. See, the topic today is not about ghost town. It's both. It's both. But also I have a very important revelation that I am bringing to you in this broadcast. So please stay tuned. At this moment, I think I should not keep you waiting. I should bring you the presentation. So please, before I do that, I just want to take a moment to appreciate the United Foundation. The United Foundation, which is based on Ground Zero. We have gotten lots and lots of messages from the prisons in La République du Cameroon of the assistance, the support, and the help, both material and probably financial, that this United Foundations is giving our prisoners, our political prisoners in Condé and other prisons around La République du Cameroon. I am speaking on behalf of this interim government. We want you to know, we want United Foundations to know, we appreciate your good work. Then David told Uriah, go on down to your house and relax a while. Uriah left the king's palace, and the king sent a gift along after him. But Uriah spent the night sleeping in the alcove of the king's palace in the company of all his master's servants. He refused to go down to his own house. Uriah said to David, the ark of God, the presence of God, along with Israel and Judah, are encamped in tents. Why? My commanding officer, Joab, and my master's staff members are camping out in the open fields. Why should I go home, eat, drink, and have sex with my wife? Not on your life, Uriah said. Fellow Ambazonians, you on ground zero, this is exactly the message you have sent out today. By deciding to keep on observing Mondays, country Sundays, you have said you cannot call off ghost towns while our people are still in French Cameroon's dungeons. You have said you cannot relax while French Cameroon soldiers continue their onslaught of killings and arson on our people and our homes. You have said you cannot relent while hundreds of thousands of our families still remain in the bushes. You have said you are not taking a break while Paul Biya plots the annihilation of all of us. Above all, you have told Paul Biya and his cronies that you, and not the diaspora, have the final say about the direction and the destiny of this revolution. The interim government hears you and thank you for the spirit and your resolve to hold on, your resolve to stand till the boss gets us to Boya. I bet you the interim government shall have no regret for calling for the temporary suspension. For if we had not done so, no one person will be in the position to understand the courage and determination that is still embedded in you to prosecute this war on ground zero. But besides that, we want you to have no doubt in your heart. Our decision wasn't born out of contempt to want to dictate to you. It was born out of good faith, out of concern, out of a sense of compassion, especially considering this season and its demands on your families. We will not again, this interim government will no longer enforce the suspension. You have spoken and you have said that it is what you want. So be it, and God bless you. And may He see your tenacity and your struggles and your pains and shorten the struggle. And now, I want to speak to you about Biya'S disarmament decree, which is signed last week. But first, let me bring you this breaking development. The interim government has gathered on good authority that a strategic security meeting took place in Yaoundé over the weekend, chaired by Colonial Prime Minister Philippe Ounian. The meeting brought together top-ranking administrative and military officials in the French Cameroon's regime. At the meeting, they strategized how to carry out a rather covert implementation of Paul Biya's decree of disarmament. The decree, we all remember, demands a lay down of our arms, a lay down of arms by Boko Haram and Ambazonian restoration fighters. PM Yang and others at the meeting agreed that once the offices of the mission are set up in Mora in the north, in Boya in the southern zone, and in Bamenda in the northern zone, beginning sometime in the days ahead, that some 800 cadet soldiers still in training shall be shipped to Bamenda and Boya, and of course other parts of Ambazonia. Then, In separate stage surrender ceremonies, the soldiers, who will be ragtag dressed to look like restoration fighters, carrying then guns, some carrying cutlasses and axes, shall show up to surrender their arms to La République du Cameroon administrators. The images shall be taken and flashed all over the media. Issa Chiroma will call a press conference to tell the world how our restoration forces have or are laying down their arms to give up fighting. Paul Biya hopes that in this stage-managed disarmament, to placate the international community to believing that he has engaged in some practical solutions to ending the war. What the interim government makes of this setup is simple. Paul Biya is still determined to end this war, not on anybody's terms, but on his own terms. He and his cronies or his collaborators are still living in the illusion of a one Cameroon. For them, they still see this revolution as a mere crisis, as an uprising that was in 2016. No Ambazonians do not see it that way. It has long gone beyond that stage. In fact, this is no longer a revolution, it is war. The war of restoration for the independence of and the sovereignty of the southern Cameroon, Ambazonia. For the past 2 years, since this conflict escalated, international and local voices kept on appealing for an all-inclusive dialogue that should look into the root cause of the conflict with the goal of sorting out a lasting solution. The United Nations, the European Union, the African Union, the Commonwealth, England, and the United States of America have all called for an inclusive dialogue. What Paul Biya did in the decree he signed last week does not only fall far short of international expectations, it is clear evidence that he is not ready to pursue a true path to the cessation of war. We hope that the international community is observing his selfish and unacceptable approach to resolving the conflict and speak truth to him. Mr. Biya, it is evident, so abhors Southern Cameroonians to the degree he thinks that sitting on same dialogue table with them perhaps means stooping so low and tantamount to an abomination. So, instead of calling for dialogue, he prefers a decree. And we note that for 36 years, he has ruled and reigned by decree, so much so that he doesn't know any other way to solve a problem of this magnitude. And he resorts to decrees. In signing this decree and asking for the disarmament of our soldiers, Paul Biya appears to be living in the illusion that he is still president over the southern Cameroons. He is not. Let me remind you, Mr. Paul Biya. Mr. Paul Biya, sir, come on. You know our president. He is Sisiko Julius Ayoktabe. We gathered a number of points in Paul Biya's decree. Number 1. Our restoration forces are all bundled together into the ranks of Boko Haram. Number 2, Biya asks that we lay down arms and have our restoration forces come to him to be reintegrated into his society. Number 3, why our forces are expected to lay down their arms and surrender, occupational colonial forces are expected to reinforce, to remain in our streets, towns, and villages. They will remain there to continue the aggression, the assault, and the barbaric treatment of our people. We note that Paul Biya didn't mention a thing concerning the leaders of Amazonia still held in his dungeons. Paul Biya didn't mention a thing concerning the over 200,000 Amazonians internally displaced and squatting in the bushes. He didn't mention the other 200,000 living in tents and huts in Nigeria as refugees. Paul Biya said nothing concerning the over 3,000 Amazonians that his soldiers have killed in this war. What Biya'S said in that decree can be summarized as a high-sounding nothing, empty piece of paper, dead without a rival. This was the second time we noted, within a month, that Paul Biya was asking that we lay down our arms and wave the white flag of surrender. We would like to remind him that this interim government didn't call for this war. Southern Cameroonians didn't call for the war. Southern Cameroonians had no arms and there were no guns in our streets, not until Paul Biya declared war. Paul Biya called for it. He declared the war. Once he declared it, we had to resort to arms. We had to defend ourselves. How on earth does he now think we are about surrendering our arms when he hasn't called out his army or pulled them out from our territory? When he has not released our president from an illegal detention? Unless Paul Biya withdraws all of his soldiers from Amazonia, our gun stock can only grow, and in better grade too. Paul Biya is reminded that the days of den guns are getting over in Amazonia. Those were the days of the beginning. After a full year, our boys can no longer fight for long with den guns. They shall be equipped with machine guns, tankers, and destroyers too. And not a single one shall be laid down till all of the southern Cameroons is legally called the Federal Republic of Amazonia. And I would like to ask Mr. Paul Biya, who is so accustomed to signing decrees, what happened to the Bilingualism Commission? What happened to the decree creating the Supreme Court, an Anglo-Saxon Supreme Court in Yaoundé? What happened to the decree removing Francophone judges from the courts in Amazonia? What happened to the decree removing Francophone teachers from our classrooms? It is testimony that every decree that Mr. Biya'S signs is mere window dressing. Empty piece of paper. Has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with the struggle. We call upon all restoration forces to keep vigilance on any exercise in our territory that purports to have some fake fighters laying down their guns. Mr. Biya'S has the right to discuss disarmament with Boko Haram, but over Amazonia, he has no more jurisdiction. The war had just begun. Amazonians will live free or fight until victory is theirs. No Amazonia, no French Cameroon. Long live Amazonia, short live the struggle. Good night.